Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of this page with all the gemstones on from Magical Worlds by Johanna Basford. Today I am going to be using a tutorial from this book. This is Colorist Special Effects 3 by Helen Elliston, and she has a lot of different tutorials in the book. And in her first section she has this glassy hexagon shape. Now we've got a sort of hexagon shape here. I think it's an octagon actually, but I'm going to use some of the tips from this for this one. Obviously we've got the edge to do as well, but I'm going to have a go and just show you. I will put the I've got a flip through of this book actually in my video somewhere. I just put the book down on top of my remote control. There we go, so we can come in closer. So, and this tutorial is actually with Prismacolor, but I'm going to just grab similar colours. So I'm just having a little look. We need light aqua, aquamarine, cobalt, turquoise. I think I'll go for those three: slate grey and black. Right, I've grabbed my colours. I haven't thought about it too hard. So for my light aqua, I'm going to use cobalt green. That's going to be my lightest colour where I'm going to start. And what it says is you should leave a couple of white areas. One sort of here and one sort of here. So that's what I'm going to do. So you colour it like that. And this is where I want my area there. I just sort of colour around it. What I always do when I'm leaving a white area is leave a much bigger area than I want. I start very lightly, as you can see, because I'm probably going to make it smaller by sort of once I go around it and sort of fade towards it. So I like it to be bigger to start with to give me that bit of space. Now, in her instructions, she'll say, now burnish it all over with white. Now, if you're using Prismacolors, you can do that, but I can't because these are Polychromos. They don't work in that way. So I'm going to skip that step. And the next bit says, use the next colour and go around the edge. So I am using the cobalt turquoise next. I'm just going to sharpen it. And the idea is that we just colour this around the edge. I'm going to do the outside bit after. I think it's easier for me to follow the instructions through and do this central part, and then I'll have to make something up for the edge. Yay! But it'll be fine. So sort of blend. I'm going to sort of do a slightly lighter bit just inside like that. There is that bit. And then it tells us to use the darker colour right on the edge. Now the way this is my, what is it, 155, this is, hang on, this is helio turquoise. It's sharpened off. So to do quite a defined edge with this. Now in her picture she actually seems to make quite like a ridge, which I don't actually want, but I'm going to do my best to. And now we have some slate grey in her thing. I'm going to use the paynes grey, okay, and she puts a little bit here and a little bit here, okay, and then she puts a tad of black on top. So this is my black. Sorry, I'm going quite fast, aren't I? So there's the black. Okay, and then I'm going to sneeze. Hang on a minute. Right, now essentially the rest of the instruction is just how to sort of bring it together, which is, I'm just going to do this without looking at it anymore. So I'm not going to do any more grey or black, but I'm going to go back through the blue, starting with the darkest to lightest. This is our helio turquoise again. And I'm going to go back over what I've done. Now with Polychromos, they do like being layered up quite a bit, so it's quite nice to sort of go back over a bit to sort of define what you've done, like that. And I might bring a little bit into here between our two white areas, like that. Then I'm going to grab my cobalt turquoise, and again over everything. Now if you're using Prismacolor, you can't keep going over and over so much, especially this hard, because it eventually covers up what you've done, because they're not so transparent. But here you can see the layers through, so going over can be quite a good technique, like that. And then my last one is the old cobalt green, and we're going to make these areas a bit smaller because I made them too big, as I said, on purpose. But I want to sort of just gently fade in a bit, like that. And the same on this one. Oh, excuse me, sniffing away. And I'm actually going to introduce some white. I'm going to try the Polychromos white. I often use an alternative white because I don't always find this particularly effective, but we'll see. So white, and just you can go over this, and it can soften it somehow a little bit, like that. There we go. Now we're going to do these edges. Now these edges aren't in my instructions, so I've just got to go for it. I'm going to start with my lightest. No, I'm not. I'm going to start with my darkest, I think. Let's do it slightly differently. Start with the darkest and think about where might be dark. Well, sometimes I want this to look like it's standing high and these are angled upwards. It's hard to explain. This time I don't think I'm going to worry about that. I'm going to just do random dark areas. So here I'm going to do dark. So fade your black like that. I might do a little bit of a black corner there. It's very random, this. We'll see if it works. There we go. I've tried this before and it worked, so I'm pretty confident that it'll be okay. There we go. And then we can get our Paynes grey and just extend those areas a little bit. It's looking very black and not very pretty, isn't it? But it will come. Now tomorrow's I've got a really pretty tutorial that I absolutely love, again from Helen Elliston. I think it's from one of her other books. There we go. So now we're on the helio turquoise. Go over all of it because we want it to look slightly bluish. Now remember, we need to leave a white bit on each of these to try and make them look shiny like we have on this one. So we don't want to take our blue too far in. Just going slowly and carefully and enjoying myself. I do like a gemstone. I do find it's weird. I find a page of gemstones really daunting. Not this page so much because there's not that many. I mean, 15 sounds like a lot. But I'm thinking, you know, Ivy and the Inky Butterfly, Dragon Treasure page. You know. But once I get into it, I really enjoy it. So this is our penultimate one, the cobalt turquoise. Yeah, so once I get into it, I like it, and I think if you can master it, the results can be really pleasing, which is always rather nice. I'm trying to think hard what colour to do for my flowers. I'm thinking a bit ahead now, because this bit's quite easy. Once you've established where your dark and light areas are, you can just chill, do bits of colouring, and it's all good. So we've got our last colour coming up. Oh, cobalt green. This should make all the difference, hopefully. But we can always come back in with other colours if we don't think it's quite enough. Now I'm only going to leave quite a small white area. Some of them I might leave more. I'll just see how it looks as I go. So trying to fade it can be quite difficult. It's something well worth practicing. How I would practice is get a piece of scrap paper, take any pencil, and probably a dark one, like a black would be a good one to practice with. I know we don't tend to do lots of black, and try and press as lightly as you can on the paper to make the lightest possible mark. And I think that is really good practice for this fading technique, because often we can find it quite difficult to get a light enough touch for the really light areas. So I think that can be quite a helpful start, that you just get used to, and then start doing a sort of gradient from pressing hard to light and trying to reduce your colour, sort of thing. I'm going to take my white now and fill in the white areas. So the good thing to do is to take that white up the rest of your colour, and I can see it like here and here as well, where it's just softening those edges a little bit. So with some white pencils are more effective than others. Now at this point you could use some white pen, but you know what? I don't want to. I really like it. Sounds really big-headed, but I'm really pleased with how it's come out, and I don't want to spoil it by using any white pen at all. I'm just going to leave it as it is. What we're going to do is do our flowers. Now I'm going to grab, we've got this really light colour which I haven't used, the light cobalt turquoise. Going to use this for the flowers, I think. They're not all the same though, so I'm going to do these little daisy type ones here, and I'm going to fade it a bit towards the edge. See, this is where you can practice again with fading. You know, you can layer up lots here and then just do a tiny coating towards the edge, and it takes practice. It's worth practicing it. What you can do is you can practice it when you're actually colouring in a book. Now, see, I hate practicing on scrap paper. I think it's a waste. I want to fill my book. So you can practice it on something like this, and if it doesn't work, you can just colour over it. So it's quite a good place to do it. So here I'm going to layer up. You can see I'm going more and then less layers here and very few there, and we get that fading, and it's very subtle because it's a very light colour. But I can see it's there. I think what we might do is do our other flowers darker, because we've got a bluish turquoise colour which maybe we use for our other flowers. So I have some really light and some really dark. Yeah, we'll do this one. What I'm trying to decide with this page is whether to use the same pencils set or change sets, or, you know, do all the first ones the same sort of pinky purple but in different pencil sets, or what, but I will decide before these videos even go out, so feedback unfortunately is not going to be helpful, but I shall think about it. Right, this is the bluish turquoise. I looked at it hard then. Is it blush? No, it's bluish. That blush turquoise wouldn't make any sense, would it? Same technique, lots of layers here, and less as we go out towards the tip of our petal, like that. We can just work along. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm thinking about the leaves. I should be thinking about the centres, but I've got no clue, so I'm avoiding thinking about that. The leaves, I'm thinking, when I do a blue, I like to do a bluish green. I think it works nicely together, so that's what I'll do for my leaves. Now I should be thinking about the centres. I did have a thought, and I'm just wondering whether it's going to work. My thought, I'll tell you, is to do this colour in the centre of the light blue ones, and then the light blue in the centre of the dark blue one, and then apply white like we did yesterday. I'm thinking maybe we'll keep it like that rather than doing yellow centres or something, which, you know, I'm not always very keen on. Sometimes I am in the mood for them, and it depends what sort of flower I'm trying to do, really. There we go. Yeah, in the description I will put the book that I got this out of, and I try and remember to put a link to my flip through, because there are lots of tutorials in the book. In fact, when I was flipping through the book to find the tutorials, I came across so many that I'd forgotten were there, and I was actually thinking I ought to make a little index for myself of what tutorials she's got on which books, pages of which books they're in, and I could share that with you guys actually, because I was thinking there are backgrounds, there are gemstones, there are food things, you know, flowers, that sort of thing. It would be really useful to have a sort of index sheet with all of them, so I can think, oh, do I have a tutorial for a zebra print? Yes, I do. Do I have a tutorial for a snowy sky, which is what I discovered earlier? Because someone had said they were using her snowy sky tutorial, and I was like, I can't remember that. And then I just came across it, and it's really good, and I want to try it. See what I'm doing without telling you. So a darker one in there, and the lighter one in the centre of these. Now, again, I think this looks really weird, but once we put our white dots in, I think it'll work. I'm trying to make them a bit darker on the edge and in the middle, but I don't know if it really matters, because by the time the white pen's on there, you won't really see. But it really worked yesterday, and I think, yeah, say at this point, I think it looks horrible, but I know that it's going to work. Right. I'm going to grab the dark phthalo green, just trying to find it, here he is, and do some leaf work. We have got two different types of leaves, haven't we? Might do them different colours just for interest. So dark phthalo green first. I'm going to do these large leaves, and I'm going to do them the same way I've done the petals, really, a little bit darker here and a bit lighter. Again, as I said yesterday, if you saw yesterday's video, you can, I'm going to put a tiny bit on the tip, but I'm going to get another colour in there, but I just want a little bit of this as a base. You can use a glittery gel pen over the top of your gemstone to make it really shiny, and you know, if like me you're in a real Christmassy mood, then lots of glitter is rather nice. I've just finished a page where I put glitter on everything, well, almost everything, so I just went a bit mad, but why not? So it was also a single-sided page, so when the glitter comes off, which inevitably it will, you can use fixative over glitter pen, by the way. When it comes off, it'll be on a sheet of paper that isn't a picture, so it's fine. So I don't want to do glitter on these. It's just my personal choice. You can do whatever you like. So I'm doing all these larger leaves in the same way. I want a bit more colour there and there. Oh, my nose wants to run. Stop it, silly nose. It's still a lovely morning at the moment. I am going to go out and do some posts before it rains, I think. Soon enough. Oh, squiff, and nowhere near the middle. I'm really sorry. Just getting carried away, not looking at camera. This is the light phthalo green. This is a really light colour, but I'm going to put it on top of the tips, and it just creates a nice bright bit, which I think is rather pretty. Whether it's realistic, it probably isn't, but you know, what does it matter? There we go. Now for the other ones, I'm going to use, I think I use the, yeah, we'll go quite dark. We'll use the deep cobalt green. I'm just going to sharpen it, but we'll do something lighter on the tips again. So again, layer it up at the base and try and fade it towards the tip. It's quite difficult in such a small space. Do your best. And as I say, you can always practice on scrap paper, but I always like to practice in my book. Oh, hear someone swearing next door. It's funny, I was reading a review of a book, and the book's got a swear word in the title. I read it, it's funny. It's a funny book, and I don't mind swearing, swear words in a book. I just think it's quite fun. And the reviews were like, there's so many swear words in this book, and I'm like, it's emerald green. There's a swear word in the title. Go over the whole of this to green it up because it looks quite blue. There's a swear word in the title of the book. What are you going to expect? But it doesn't offend. There are certain, I don't mind it in a book or whatever, even in a TV show, but if people swear at me, I don't like that very much. It's a whole different thing, I think. But even when, I've just noticed that the ends of these petals, I haven't quite gone to the end. I want to. There we go. I'm just being fussy. Right, now I'm going to do a little bit of shading. I'm going to use the Paynes Grey just in my florals. So where my flower hits the leaf, I'm just going to put a bit of shadow in there, just around those petals and a bit here. It's really subtle. You may not see it. I can see it though. For me, it just makes a bit of a difference. And where they are here, underneath our gemstone, there'd be a bit of shadow, and where they're overlapping there. I'm going to go a bit gentler here because it's on top of the really light colour. There we go. And then we're going to finish with some white. Now, as I said before, I'm not putting any white on here because I think I could just ruin it. But I'm going to on our flowers. So what we did before, I'm going to try this. So some little dots around here. Now, to get a smaller dot, you can use a smaller nib of pen. This is a 10, but you can use they do a 5 and an 8. I quite like their multi-pack of 5, 8 and 10. But the 10s run more easily. The 5s block quite easily because I think it's because the roller ball is so small. It blocks, but you can just sort of scribble it viciously on a bit of scrap paper. It's amazing how vicious you can get away with being. Yes, and there we go. But if you dot quickly, you get a smaller dot. To practice again on scrap. If you've got some scrap paper that's black or coloured, that's an easy way to practice because you can see much better what you're doing. And you know, if you press hard and then go like that, you get a big dot. If you go like that, you get a small dot, and if you go like that, it's a bit bigger. Can you see? So you can play around with it and practice and see what happens. Right, but I am done. I think that's enough nattering for today. But thank you so much for watching. Hope that you have a super day, and I'm going to have another book tutorial tomorrow because I've got one that looks almost like tomorrow's picture, so that's going to be fun. But thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day and happy colouring.